Heat makers, crack music.
If you ain't got the dough, then
Some Yankees / non-Yankees news, but some MLB news. I have a couple of videos on the channel. Please be sure to go check those out about my view of the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame voting process, the Hall of Fame as a whole. I have a heated rant on there. Please make sure you go and check that video out. That video should start doing numbers now that the 2024 class, election class has been announced. But I'm going to pull this up on the screen. And congratulations are in order. Congratulations are in order. I think, is this it? Oh, that's gunshots. Hold on. Congratulations. Well, you know what? The flex bomb. Flex bomb is in order too for Adrian Beltre. So we get another Dominican stud in the Hall of Fame, as we should. 95.1%. And honestly, that was a no-brainer of the new kids on the block for me. There's no world in which Adrian Beltre doesn't get in on complete roller skates. I mean, he can fucking do the moonwalk into Cooperstown as far as I'm concerned. So I got no beef with Adrian Beltre. Congratulations to Adrian Beltre. Congratulations are also in order to Todd Helton, who got in, I believe, what was this, his first ballot? No, it might have been.
No, it's his
sixth ballot.
Yeah.
So apparently over the last 6 years, he has improved his numbers. He must have had a monster year last year in order to garner the votes. But he got it with 79.7% of the vote. And then another first ballot Hall of Famer, the excellent catcher from the Twins, Joe Mauer, who got in at 76.1%. And again, he got in on the first ballot. Not making the cut here, unfortunately for these gentlemen, Billy Wagner, who just missed the cut at 73.8%. Billy Wagner, he's got the numbers, but I never really felt like he was a Hall of Famer. But I'll let you guys comment on that. But for me, the most disappointing part of this list here is our boy Gary Sheffield. Somebody who we grew up watching, and he missed the cut 63.9%. But unfortunately, this was his 10th and final year on the ballot. So he is no longer on the ballot, and his only path in will be through the Veterans Committee. And so hopefully that will happen for him sometime in the future. But unfortunately, Gary Sheffield will not be a Hall of Famer by writer induction. And then just to close out the rest of the notable names here, Andrew Jones didn't get in. Carlos Beltran also fell shy of 60%. I believe he got over 60% last year, so he did worse this year than he did last year. Carlos Beltran, to me, who was the first ballot Hall of Famer, obviously being punished for the Astros scandal. And then Alex Rodriguez and Manny Ramirez, two obvious first ballot immortal Hall of Famers. What are we even doing here? And these gentlemen are not even cracking 35%. A-Rod is actually down from his 36% last year. He got just under 35%. So I'm going to start with Adi. What do we think about Beltre, Helton, and Mauer? And then, also give me your thoughts on just the overall process and anything else you want to touch on with any of these gentlemen.
So obviously, first off, congrats. I think number one was a no-brainer. My only shock was Joe Mauer, right? Like first ballot, he just made it, right? By what?
Squeaked
1.1%, squeaked in. And I think that's when you're, obviously the numbers are there. Dude was a stud catcher, but when you have people, behind him like Sheffield, Jones, Beltre, it's like, damn, bro. I feel like Beltre is the one that's getting the biggest heat with this whole Astro joint. He lost a job as a manager of the Mets. His name's, been just dragged. And dude was a stud. Like, people forgetting who Beltran is because of stuff like this. So that's the only shame. And, like, this is why this is sometimes, like, I don't really pay that much attention to, and I feel like, yo, these writers are bugging. Like this process is so ancient and like corny at the same time, man. So, but congrats to those that are in. Hopefully, Sheffield gets in now through the committee. But yeah, man, it's corny. What's been going on?
What do you think, Juan?
Man, so congrats to Beltre. I knew he was the first ballot. You know, what he did was phenomenal. Hitting over 3,000, over 500 home runs. Like, you know, he signed that big deal. He signed that big deal with Seattle, and he didn't amount to it. Like the 5-year deal, like he didn't really do much. And then when he went to Boston, had that huge monster year, and then got paid at Texas, and like that's when his career like took off. Like once he hit like 29-30, which is phenomenal. It doesn't really happen to a lot of people where they take off so late in their career, because he came up when he was like 18, 19 years old. So he's not automatic. Helton, I don't know, man. Like he made it, like there's like his 6th year, but he has the Coors effect. Like he played like 17 years in Colorado, and like his hits, he didn't hit 3,000. Like he got like 20, I think like 2,300. Like there's other people who are more qualified and hit bigger milestones that should have been inducted before him. Like I feel like Billy Wagner, he was one of the most dominant like relief pitchers of our generation or this era. So like he should be in, and not going into his last year to make it. Gary Sheffield as well. He had 500 home runs. He was like one of the most intimidating players to play against, and he changed the game about how people perceive the game, looking at it fun. Everyone, no matter what, when you went to your softball league, everyone hit that grabbed the bat and did the Sheffield stance. You know, like it was a toothpick. Like it's just crazy that he's not gonna get in like with the votes. Andrew Jones, who was one of the best center fielders like ever, like he won like 10 Gold Gloves. How is he still not in? And he hit like 400 home runs. You know, it's like he had a downfall his last 5 years, but like his prime years are like prime years you can compare to almost anybody. And like, how are these guys like not getting inducted? And then Mauer, like, yes, Mauer, I think he's deserving of a Hall of Fame, but I didn't think he was first ballot worthy. Like, you're telling me that Joe Mauer is better? I mean, Vladimir Guerrero didn't get in first ballot, and Joe Mauer got in first ballot.
That's a joke.
So, like, you're telling me that Joe Mauer is better than that? Like,
no, you know,
and that's why, like how y'all said, like the committee is the way they inducting people is ancient times. Like, there's a lot of people that are worthy of the Hall of Fame that never got in just because of the way the voters have it and how they're inducting these people. Like the MLB like Hall of Fame is like the hardest Hall of Fame to get into out of any of the like major sports, because you have to vote on it, and then some people feel a certain way about, some writers feel a certain way about players, whether it's race, ethnicity, like whether it's something that they did on and off the field, and they won't vote them in, and they're deserving of it. But that's my whole feel on it. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
I'm
yes, these writers, man.
Yeah, and so shout out to my pops, my OG. He says F the writers. That's a fact, man. You know. And you know, like I mentioned, I have a whole rant on the channel. Please be sure to check that out. In terms of, hold on, where the heck is it? There we go. Let's hide this. Please be sure to check that out. But you know, the idea that first of all, I want to challenge the whole first ballot versus third ballot versus like I never really pay too much attention to that, because I think first ballot versus 10th ballot, to me, I don't think there should be a distinction. I understand why folks try to make that distinction, but the fact that there's just so much politics at play with the writers really nullifies that for me. I can't, you know, like you said, I can't look at, you know, Todd Helton and be like, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer versus Vladdy, who wasn't, right? And I always ask, and I asked the question about, you know, Todd Helton, who this was his 6th opportunity on, like, you know, if he was not a Hall of Famer the first time they voted for him, what the fuck changed? Like that's always my question. What changed? What changed in the last 6 years to make Todd Helton Hall of Fame worthy? I don't understand it. if you look at Alex Rodriguez, his numbers dropped. He got 36% of the vote last year. Now he just got under 35. What changed? What, you didn't like his appearances on the K-Rod show on ESPN? What changed? The numbers haven't changed. It's 696. It's for Gary Sheffield. Shout out to Norman in our group chat. He gave us an amazing stat about Gary Sheffield. He averaged 74 strikeouts a season for a power hitter. This is a power hitter. Averaged only 74 strikeouts. The most he ever struck out in a single season, I think, was 83 times with the 2004 New York Yankees. 83 times. He never struck out over 100 times. That's unheard of in today's game. I mean, that's unheard. You got guys striking out 120, 130, 140, 150 times, making the All-Star team, winning MVPs. Like, this is a joke. And I keep saying that the Hall of Fame is becoming a joke, but I mean, it is just a wholly unserious endeavor when a guy like Todd Helton, and I don't want to focus, and every year, right, there's always the one person who gets the disrespect, and I don't want to disrespect him on this big day. But this is the Hall of Fame. This is not the Hall of Very Good. And what the writers are turning it into is the Hall of my mans, the Hall of the guy that I fucked with, the Hall of the very good player who gave me interviews, right? The Hall of the very good player who I think was also a nice guy. And so Todd Helton, perennial all-star. He was a very good ball player. I never looked at him like, if I got to speak about his generation, that generation of ball players, do I really got to talk about Todd Helton? Do I really have to?
He wasn't a feared hitter. Like, he wasn't like dominant. All right, you could say that about Joe Mauer. Joe Mauer was like, when he was in his prime, he was one of the top 2 or 3 catchers in the game.
And he was a catcher too, so that's a different.
He was a catcher. The same thing with Beltre. Beltre in his prime, he was like one of the top 3, if not the number 1 third baseman. Helton in his prime wasn't the best first baseman, or he wasn't maybe top 5. Like, he never was dominant, and like he had the Coors effect. So maybe he deserved it, but I don't think so. And then it kind of goes back to the writers. Like, they vote on who they want. Like, how are you gonna you can go back to certain players and it's like, I don't think that Griffey is not so they don't make the unanimous ballot. Like, the only one person has made it unanimously, which is crazy to say that certain legends are not unanimously inducted into the Hall of Fame, which is ridiculous.
Right. I mean, who didn't vote for Adrian Beltre and why? Right? He got 95.1%. Who didn't vote for Adrian Beltre and why? You should lose your vote. Enough of this. That's bullshit. 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. How the fuck is he not a Hall of Fame? Explain that to me. Somebody got to explain it to me like I'm stupid. Like I'm a child. You have to break that down to me. I need to understand that. And there's no other reason than I'm a sports writer, I'm a gatekeeper, and I have power. And that's it. And they've got to figure out a different way. I don't got the answer, Sway. I don't know what the procedure should be. I like the fact that it's difficult to get in. It should be the hardest thing. It should be a hard-won honor. But again, Todd Helton cannot walk into no Hall of Fame that a Gary Sheffield can't get into, that a Carlos Beltran, that an A-Rod, that a Manny Ramirez can't get into. It's just when you start doing that, you devalue the overall identity or the overall atmosphere of what the National Baseball Hall of Fame is supposed to be. It's a joke, and baseball's got to do something to fix it.
Just real quick, I just think that it's corny too when these writers post their ballot, right? And it's like, yo, you voted for 3 dudes. You voted for 3 dudes.
And they get 10 out of
that.
Yo,
and you feel confident and you're doing it for clickbait of, yo, look at me, look at what I did. Like, come on, man.
Engagement
bozo.
Straight bozo, clown. They're looking for the clout cookies. And it's like, yo, you should lose your ballot. Right, somebody, right, like you said, there was somebody only voted for 3 people. I think I made a video on it on the channel. And when they pressed him, and I forget the writer's name, but they pressed him on Twitter because he had previously voted for Sheffield, didn't vote for Sheffield, only voted for 3 people. And then they were like, hey, big dog, why didn't you vote for Sheffield? You voted for Sheffield last year. What happened? He goes, oh, I can vote for him next year. No, you can't, stupid. He's off the ballot. He didn't even know. So you have these guys that they don't even take it as seriously as the fans are doing, right? And then they go online and then they make fun of the fans. Oh, look, these fans are butthurt or they're upset. But it's like, yo, could you imagine a guy like Gary Sheffield who, busted his ass since the time he was a kid through high school, the minor leagues, fighting to get to the major leagues. You make yourself an all-star, you make yourself a champion, and you put up the numbers, the requisite numbers to be a Hall of Famer. And some goofball, sitting in, some fucking, 2-bedroom apartment, with no wife and kids because no woman would ever love him, is voting against him and keeping him out. It's crazy. It's insane. I mean, we got to do something because, like I said, the Hall of Fame process has become a wholly unserious endeavor, and it breaks my heart as a baseball fan.
Yeah, it's
only going to get harder because the next year, there's a few new players coming joining the ballot. So, it's going to be hard for those guys who are on the cusp to make that leap forward because, next year we got Ichiro, who should be first ballot Hall of Famer. And then we got CC as well. I think he should be definitely a Hall of Famer. And then we got King Felix, who I think it should be a Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's going to make it in the first round. I don't know on the first ballot. Yeah, but you know how the writers are. So they're going to look at the wins. He don't have the wins to get in as how it is. I think those 3 players right there should be first ballot because they were all 3 at their peaks. They were dominating the game and winning Cy Youngs or Ichiro won the MVPs. They were difference makers on teams. But then you got I think Billy Wagner gets in next year. And then there's other people that are on the cusp of making it. So then it's going to be hard to see if 3 or 4 people make it again, which makes it, it's tough.
Yeah, man. It's just tough, like you're saying, right? 3 dudes that we agree should be first ballot. We're not even expecting it. Look at that. We're talking a year before this happens, already saying I can see CC not being first year. I can see Felix not being first year. Why? Because these other guys now are going to get that it's their last year. Let's give them
they're going to get that push.
The whole system is corny. It's corny. And the fact that they're allowed to showboat about it makes me even it's ugly, man. It's real ugly.
Yeah, it gets me hot. It gets me hot. I was arguing with one of these writers a couple of weeks ago when the ballots first started to come out. Shout out to my OG. Does anyone know if Todd was on the steroid list? He was not on the steroid list, but he was a beneficiary of Coors Field for half of the games in his career. And
his whole career, though.
That's just as good as steroids, right?
Yeah.
If not better. If not better, that Coors Field effect. So, but again, congratulations. No shade. I do not want this to take away from the moment for those 3 gentlemen. I'm sure that they are over the moon. But there are a few other well-deserving gentlemen that we'd like to see make the squad at some point. So, all right, that is our rant on the. Where the hell is my banners here? On the Baseball Hall of Fame here.